any question you have.
These are just casual and honestly just the best discussions we can bring to the table. There's not a comment or a question or a take or an opinion that's out of pocket here. So I know like, hey, and we are live. So what up, though, people? We are live because sometimes they wonder because we do stuff for Studio A. When we post it later, it is many hours after we actually went live. But when we do these, you guys already know. Get those questions into the chat. And for the people out there who continue to talk about the Kobe, the Boston and New York over there, we are in the owner's office right now, not mine. If this was my office, y'all know how the Hoover Pistons setup is. It's everything Detroit, and then you can't forget DC, man. But Detroit Kool-Aid, you guys already know, credential Pistons reporter, writer for Hoover Sports here, and we got intern Noah. We got intern Haley, two people who I believe are going to shed that intern label pretty quickly. But their ball knowledge across all sports, epic. They are going to be taking the journey into further into media here, Detroit sports media. Already got them on a short list to be covering Motor City Cruise as well this year. So shout out, man. And Noah, he's already cooked up some articles for Hoover Sports. We've done a couple of these streams too. So respect the ball knowledge. And intern Haley, you guys might have seen her on Wake Up Woodward, and she's been adding greatly to the commentary. We've had people show up, they open their mouth, and it's like, all right. I think maybe even I've done that a couple times where I'm just like saying stuff, and my crew is like, all right, but intern Haley been on point. What up, though?
Well, hey, what's up? Thank you for having me again. I'm glad we can have these weekly shows. I think they're a lot of fun, getting my foot in the door with the Pistons, and then the Cruise today with a little bit of summer league talk. And I got an interesting list for you today because Hoops Hype has posted a list of the top 50-ish performers in the summer league so far. It's hard not to overreact to like 3 games worth of play, but Ron Holland has looked like that guy, and then Dennis Jenkins is also surprised. But in the top 10, there's a third summer league Piston. I'm interested to see if you can just guess them, just based on the fact that there's a third in the top.
Now that I know what the list is, I actually do know who it is, but I'm gonna wait. All right. So you brought up the list again. Preface to the people what the list is. If you guys can guess who that third player is, definitely put it in the chat when we see it. We'll put it up there on the screen. But tell them what the list is again.
So the list is the top 50 performers in the summer league through 3 games.
No, tell them. We keep going. Dante 151. I knew he was going to be on it.
It's the top 50 performers through the first 3 summer league games. There's 3 Pistons in the top 10. It kind of shocked me because I feel like the third guy is someone who's kind of flown under the radar, even though he's been playing really well. He's had his name called quite a bit, but he's flown under the radar quite a bit. And it was supposed to be Clintman. I think we all thought it would be Clintman.
But who is it continued to be? You said, that's why I'm so glad you said he's flown on under the radar, because Tony Smith has been balling. He's been balling. Like, it's not just summer league. You go back to the G League, he's been balling. That's a name that, for whatever reason, has made it to literally to Wake Up Woodward several times because of that.
Yeah, and I mean, even in the G League, he's averaging 18, 4, and 3. That's unreal. Now, I mean, he plays that 4 position. That's where the hole is for the Pistons. I want to know, do you think he has an ability to somehow make it as like that back end talent guy, like that rotational piece, just because that 4 spot is so weak?
With Tolu Smith, he's going to be a guy that gets minutes this year, just like we saw last year. But he's a guy that, when you look at all of the players they have in the G League, he might, from a measurable standpoint, from a being able to play his role standpoint, he might be a guy that can crack that, and probably should, just depending on what the makeup of the roster is. I'm sensing that the Pistons are going to clamp down on the roster a little bit more. Not be as exploratory, trying to figure out the best fits. I think they kind of know what works now. After last year, you saw them work with a couple different things. This year, I think that you're going to find guys like Dennis Jenkins and Tolu Smith, who I'm actually pretty high on. I think you're going to find them odd men out just because of that. You got Jaden Ivey back, and I think that they're going to give a lot more usage to guys like Jaden Ivey, Karis LeVert. But it was interesting, though, to hear Trajan Langdon mention Bobby Clintman as another one of those guys who thinks he can stretch the floor for the Pistons. That, to me, hey, look, it would have been nice to see it happen in Summer League, but to keep things fair, who was he playing with in Summer League? Gravity's different, spacing is different. It's a different game.
That's kind of the next question I wanted to ask. I want to ask both of you.
What's it? Weezy D. Yes, this is a real live. Look, I'm gonna be trying to do this more and more. Like I told you guys, Wake Up Woodward, the actual platform might be going away or taking a pause, but in terms of the characters continuing on, it's gonna create a whole lot more opportunity for us to actually bring you guys more content. So, yes, this is a live. Get your get your questions in. I'm sorry, Weezy. Paul Reed is a real player. Kool-Aid. I know he is, but it's Paul Reed. I like Paul Reed too, but it is Paul Reed. But let's get to the next question.
So yeah, we talked to.
I don't even know what we're talking about.
Yeah, but with Tolu Smith, Bobby Clintman, Dennis Jenkins, even if they have this opportunity realistically, or if they should even be able to crack the rotation this year.
Exactly. I feel like it seems like the starters will be pretty set in stone based on their skill level already. Yeah. But Summer League is a great way for players who still have something to prove something.
Yeah.
It's a chance for players to prove that they deserve more minutes, more responsibility. So you never know how it could go with Smith.
It's going to be interesting because he is the guy, like you said, when you call him out, he is underrated in my opinion. He has been under the radar, but we've seen the Motor City Cruise. We've seen their organization actually get picked clean in the past.
Yeah, of course.
It's going to be interesting to see if the Pistons actually do some of that picking clean too. Tolu Smith is probably the player that is that has the highest chances of that happening.
And I think, the Pistons are a team that does kind of play deep rotation a little bit. They do like to utilize a lot of the players that make up that bench. It's going to be interesting if Tolu Smith can crack a spot on that roster because, once again, he is another forward that's not really a stretch. He can't shoot the ball very well. It's going to be another one of those guys that's kind of like playing within 5 feet. So, but I want to talk about Clintman because we touched on Clintman a little bit. I know he was better. He was better last night. But does his lack of production worry you at all for how he's coming along?
You want to see him be able to go out there and show out, especially after last year. I thought Bobby Clintman had a better summer league showing last year. He looked more comfortable. He looked more had more pop to his game. But the injury, the setbacks, having to work on rehabbing, and now all of a sudden you're here at the summer league. I am wondering how much that's affecting him. I do, and I think that first year, he also played with Marcus Sasser.
Right.
That makes a huge difference when you're playing with a guy who had already exhibited some pretty good NBA talent. And now he's there with you. And Ron Holland's a little bit different player. When Ron Holland played in those games last year, Bobby Clintman's numbers weren't as good. When Ron Holland didn't play, we saw Ron Holland's numbers go off.
Right.
So, or not go off, but they were better. I'll put it that way. So, with Bobby Clintman, I'm not as concerned because I do believe with the skill set he possesses, when you put him inside a situation where Cade or Jaden Ivey or Karis LeVert are creating opportunities for him, he's going to have a lot more open space to cut, a lot more open space to hit the gaps, to be able to facilitate, and the opportunities to knock down open threes.
Right. Like you said, his injury, and then also he has some foul trouble previously. So maybe if he can prove himself to kind of exceed those personal adversities that he's putting upon himself, then he can stay up there. But like I said in the morning show, there's just so many players that are really trying to prove themselves.
Yeah.
So, I mean, especially within the industry in general, you can really fall under within a few games if you're not playing well.
Man, we're in a place where we saw a lottery pick in Killian Hayes get passed up pretty quickly. And they gave him time, but they moved that man to the bench after a top 7 pick, man. They moved him to the bench. Was like, hey, thank you.
Right.
And so you're right. You can get past them quick. And for a guy like Bobby Clintman, like the guys we're talking about with our Summer League special edition of this live stream, these are guys who are already on the fringe. Especially now you're in a year where, like we said earlier, things are more figured out for JB Bickerstaff and his Pistons organization and team. And they know, like, we're not bringing anyone who's going to clash with Cade. We're not bringing anybody who's going to block what we can see from Jaden Ivey and Asar Thompson. Like, they're just not doing that. So, when you look at even the bench and the fact that they're probably just going to run specialists that revolve, that check in and out, I don't see them going too deep just to have players and bodies out there. I see them now trying to find a way to get to, all right, we just broke a franchise record with threes. How do we get to the next level there? You know, hey, we had Cade and Jalen Duren. They were the number one lob connection in the league. How do we take that to the next level? You know, those are more or less the things I do believe they're going to focus on. And I'll be remiss if I didn't say what up, though, to Ashton. The trainer is in the chat, man. If you guys don't know Ashton, the trainer, NBA trainer, and he's one of the coaches for the C2 All-Stars, Cade Cunningham's AAU team, and they've been doing their thing. Guys, please go ahead, follow Ashton, the trainer, support the C2 All-Stars as well. Cade Cunningham is doing this thing to make sure that we got ethical hoops. You guys want to support ethical hoops. He's making sure to teach the next generation, man. So shout out to Ashton, the trainer, who had a lot to do as well with training up one Cade Cunningham, too. So he supported this platform from the beginning, literally from the beginning. He gave us interviews, gave us his time. So Ashton, the trainer, shout out to you. I remember when you first made your Pistons on the 6 seed declaration, it was right here. It was actually next door to Studio B. And now I see him talking even more greasy. He's saying 3rd seed this year.
3rd seed is that's a little aggressive. I don't hate it. I think you've got we talked about it on the morning show, but I do think that you did kind of I think the acquisitions this offseason were an upgrade. I wanted to actually push back on the fact that KG was kind of going off calling Duncan Robinson White Malik Beasley. I would like to say Duncan Robinson is not White Malik Beasley. Duncan Robinson actually showed up in the playoffs when he made it. So I think Duncan Robinson is the better acquisition. I think he can facilitate. I mean, Duncan Robinson showed up. He was a good second option on that Heat team that made it as far as they did. And yeah, I do need glasses. That's for damn sure. I'm squinting real hard trying to read the little ass text. I'm not gonna lie.
I see Ashton there. He says Ashton trying to off ball Cade and Cade from the elbow. The final piece. Come on now. Damn. Hey, listen. Off ball Cade, back to the basket Cade. I actually want to see more back to the basket Cade.
Yeah.
That to me, I think is going to be good because you're talking about end of the game. That was something we saw Chauncey Billups be able to rely on.
Yeah.
We saw him be able to do it. And Cade has that in his game. The thing is, I think when you're adding parts and pieces and this and that, it's a lot to add for a player that's already talented. I'm almost like, just go and work on one trait, make that trait not just an improvement, but a leap. And then come back because he's already top 15, top 10 player in the NBA.
Absolutely,
already. Man.
And you could make the argument that he's one of the best scorers in the East already. And I think just elevating that part of his game would absolutely be huge. I think if he takes that big of a step, I think it's not crazy to say that they're a top 3 seed, especially with like Boston. No one really knows what to expect from Boston. I don't think they'll fall off and be terrible, but you can't pencil them in for a top 5 spot at all.
I am not necessarily going to say that Boston is done at all. And I actually like what they've done to try and bolster effectively the loss of Jason Tatum. But how are you feeling about it? Pistons,
I was going to say, when you were talking about Cade, like, he's a great scorer, and he could be even better if we continue to give players the minute that are going to space out the floor for him, and then just give him time to reign and like really get. That's why I feel like with the trades, emphasizing on possible complementary players that can help Cade succeed is a smart play for the team due to his previous success and ongoing success that's going to happen.
No, I mean you're preaching it because it's delicate because how much do you add and make sure that you're not messing with the identity, you're not messing with the chemistry, and that's why I think it's good that we saw this team take the jump that they did last year before they added any other star players. There's no other All-NBAs, there's no other All-Stars. This was Cade. He's the All-NBA player. He's the All-Star. He's literally the straw that stirs the drink. And that to me is why it is as easy as saying, let's just get some players that can help space the floor. There were some people who were underwhelmed by Karis LeVert and Duncan Robinson, but when you understand the type of player that Cade Cunningham is, that's when you should, in my opinion, be excited about those types of additions.
Exactly.
How long were we waiting for that? Mm-hmm. Bojan, like you guys want the corpse of Bojan and Alec Burks dragging their like dead legs around the court? That was not it for Cade or for Ivy. The one thing I said was Cade is a guy who he was still going to be good, whether you get him the shooters or not. But when you talk about Jaden Ivey and some of these other young players, and Sar Thompson in facilitation and Ron Holland, how are they going to do this? How is Jaden Ivey going to do that with no shooters?
Right.
I thought that the shooters actually was going to help Jaden Ivey more than Cade.
Yeah.
Like, and we saw Jaden Ivey's assists very high this past year.
And there were points where you could see Jaden Ivey shot chucking, like getting a shooter out there to absolutely helps the spacing. It takes a lot of the pressure off of him.
Yeah.
Because Cade can shoot the three ball. Is he super willing to? Probably. I mean, but getting a kind of a shooter for spacing, I think is one of the best things that they could have done. And I think Duncan Robinson is exactly what you needed with Beasley departing. But I think also the people who are worried about us, our big move being Levert and Robinson aren't remembering the fact that we moved on from Beasley and Schroeder. It wasn't exactly like, you're not moving from 5-star to 5-star. You're you got to take what you can get down here. And that's kind of the price that you got to pay when you don't really go for like a splash signing. You got to stick with these guys that are like, just kind of all right. And I think that's all they need. I don't think they needed a super splash signing to be competitive in the East. They just needed
not this year.
No, not this year. It's gonna be weak again, and it's only weaker with Tatum being injured. So you're never rooting for a player's injury, but that definitely helps the Pistons a lot more than it hurts them.
Hey, shout out to somebody fresh with the $5 super chat. He says top 4 seed for sure for the Detroit Pistons. I believe that that's the goal. That has to be your goal this year. You want to be able to host a playoff game, and actually, you want to win your first playoff game in your last. They haven't won a home playoff game in their last 3 series.
Yeah,
they got swept in 2 of them. Found a way to win 2 games in Madison Square Garden in the playoffs. Won 4 there this year against the New York Knicks. 2 in the regular season, 2 during the playoffs. But I believe at the very least, it should definitely be the goal for them. Weezy D says, the Pistons, the top 4 seed guaranteed. When we get to the dance, we'll turn it up to another level. And they're going to have to. Yeah. They're going to have to find a way, like these veteran teams do, to pace yourself in the season, to preserve yourself for the playoffs without robbing yourself of what you're supposed to have in the regular season. And I know that's one big loop, but the good teams, they find ways to do it. They find ways to pace. They find ways to ebb and flow. And I'm really hoping that the Pistons find the best way to do that, because towards the end of that Knicks series, no matter what anybody would tell you, he said, "Hey, you got to shoot better." I don't think there's not one mechanical shot thing he can work on this summer that's going to overcome what he actually probably needs to improve on a little bit. That's just stamina. His legs look dead. They look like they had not played this many. They were like, why are we still playing?
And I think
it's a lot of games.
I think the best part about so first of all, I like the Pistons for the 4 seed. I think they'll be 4. I think that'll top 4. They'll be 4. I think 3 is a little aggressive, but the biggest part this season, for this upcoming season for me, is that now you've got guys that are like playoff seasoned. Cade's finally been there. You won't have Ivy exactly with some playoff experience, but you do have Duncan Robinson, who's got not only playoff experience but deep run playoff experience as well. Karis LeVert's kind of that vet presence now. He's 33, 32ish. He's up there. He's got some leadership to give to the younger guys. But and now Asor has been in the playoffs. He's guarded what you could say is what you could say is the second or third best guard in the East. Some people say first. I don't know, not me personally, but I mean, all these guys have experience that should shape this run. So I think if they do get the 4 seed, I think you're looking at they could win 2 series realistically.
And I know that for a long time we've been waiting to see this. We haven't really seen like a lot of internal growth lead the way for the Detroit Pistons. We haven't. Not even when you look at 2004 Pistons and such. You have to go back to the bad boy Pistons until you can really look at internal growth being what spurred things, because you're looking at a homegrown backcourt of Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars, your finals MVPs. With the 04 Pistons, we understand it was a ragtag band put together. But now with this squad, the reason why they called it the Restore, and it wasn't necessarily in the same vein as the Going to Work Pistons, but the Bad Boys, is because they wanted this to be about the young players. They're going to have to make the step forward. And I'm tired of sitting around because, our players never turn into stars into acting like, well, it's just okay. No, we need 2 or 3 of these other guys to step the frig up. Let me be a little bit more. With Cade budding into a superstar, we need at least 1 or 2 of these other guys to take that next step. You see Orlando. They're not fretting with Franz or Paulo. They have no doubts. It's just injury or not injury with them. That's it. the Pistons, they don't have a second player right now that has emerged or shown themselves to be as complimentary or as good as Franz.
Mhm.
Like, because everybody says Paolo is their one,
Right.
right? Who's stepping into that Franz role? Not necessarily position for position, but the role of being that too. It has to be. I mean, he seems like the one that has shown at least the flashes to this point.
And none of the others have showed the offensive firepower yet. I mean, Ron Holland looks good for summer league, but is that going to translate? And Ivy's the only one that's shown that offensive prowess. However, I do think there's a very good chance that Asor ends up being a better all-around player than Ivy. I think he's the most underrated player on the team. I love Asor. I think he's going to end up being really well-rounded.
Look, I have my little power rankings for players I think are going to take that step towards stardom this year.
Mhm.
Asor is number one.
Yeah.
Once you go on really everything we just kind of talking about this Pistons 4 seed, hosting the playoff spot.
Yeah.
Good conversation.
I feel like Asar Thompson has been in lots of conversations. I've always said his defense is amazing and his shooting skills can be better, and hopefully we will see them get better. We were talking about younger players, and with the summer league, I feel like that's a great way for younger players to really prove themselves.
Yeah.
Because you have more vets like showing up and showing out, so it really shows the younger players that they need to step it up, and that like every single type of playing counts and is being watched. Which leads me to my question for you guys. Obviously, the list that you brought up, the top 50, right? That's from the 3 games. So, take with that as you will. But how much does the Summer League really matter when converting over to the regular season?
I think there's some things you look for, and I saw some people in the chat who are asking and talking about Chaz Lanier, a top 4. Hopefully, Holland and Chaz have roles by playoff time. What you're looking for realistically in Summer League is, can Chaz Lanier shoot a high volume of threes, and can he hit at least 30% of them? He's doing that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm looking for. If he went out there and scored 30 points and shot like 2 or 5 from beyond the arc, I'd be like, I would be a little bit more like, what's the game plan here? But when you see players playing in their role in Summer League, that's the stuff that you can say, you know what, that has a higher chance of being able to translate than not. And so Chaz Lanier and Ron Holland, they're the 2 players who I believe the games we've seen them play in Summer League, they have the highest chance of any other players to translate. Shout out to Spin Dog, about to jump on Big D Energy and in the heavies later, man. So it's like, yeah, there's a lot. I think to the people who act like Summer League is just a wash, all the competition, this, that, and the other, I always say that there's something to take away from any time someone's playing ball. I don't care if we go in the Nerf and start shooting on the Nerf rim back there. There's something you can take away from a person in any aspect of ball. So I'm looking at how they fit as it relates to the plays that they're running and the positions that they're running. Chaz Lanier is going to have the opportunity to shoot. He's shooting like 10 threes a game in Summer League. Do you understand how many of those are going to be wide open in any lineup he plays with Cade? They're not going to defend. The play is going to call for, we have a second-round pick, defender. Your job is, wherever Cade goes, you keep an eye on Cade. That means Chaz is going to get opportunities to knock it down. So that him and Ron Holland's play, it's very similar to the flashes we saw in the NBA. And now you see the confidence, you see the shooting, 9 out of 10 from the free throw line. Those are things I take away. You hitting your free throws and you're getting to the free throw line, those things translate.
See, I thought about this the other day, especially because Chaz Lanier is a specialist. But is it crazy to say that there's more pressure this upcoming season for Chaz Lanier than there is for Ron Holland? Because he kind of has to be.
Yes.
He has to be not flawless, but he has to be pretty damn good from behind the arc, and that's a lot to ask for a rookie, especially a second-round rookie. It almost feels like there's more being demanded from Lanier than there is from Holland this upcoming season, because Holland's just expected to take that next step. It doesn't have to be anything monumental because they don't need it to be monumental.
Right on point, man. Shout out to our chat family. Malachi Hampton says Chaz at 30% from beyond the arc? Nah, Chaz needs to hit at least 38%.
There you go.
You already see it. The
Yeah.
pressure there because he is a specialist. We know what we need around Cade, and having him here right now, that's what everybody wants to see. Last year, why did people respond the way they did with Ron Holland being the pick? Because we thought it should have been Dalton Connect or a three-point shooter. That was what they said the need was. Now, Ron Holland is coming and proving that he could be one of those difference makers, whether he's hitting shots or not. When people get a load of what I believe his ceiling could be if he's hitting shots, that's when I think things are going to change. When people see, like, and they see him in the summer, and they see preseason, oh, his shot looks improved, it looks like the confidence is there, but then the wheels fall off in the regular season, that's where I think you'll see it reverse. But as of today, I do believe that there's going to be a weird type of pressure on Chaz Lanier, who's only probably going to get 10 minutes a game at best. Because then you got to think about it. Every single one of the three-point shots that he puts up is going to be pressure.
There would be
He's
a
going to have
lot
to
more.
hit them.
There would be a lot more if Duncan wasn't on the team too. Because I mean, because you're right. He is only going to get 10 minutes or less probably. But that it's kind of like the entirety of the spacing is going to be in his hands at certain points, because they're going to need him to be the guy that you can kick it out to and hit an open three. Mm-hmm. And if someone, I forget who, but someone said they need him to be shooting at 38% from beyond the arc. I mean, that's a lot to ask from a rookie, let alone a second rounder.
If he can hit like 30-33%, I'm comfortable with that. Like, listen, because
no, you're good.
It's just because we know, like, his chops, when he gets comfortable, he's gonna be a guy that's over 35% from beyond the arc. But his rookie season, you talking about in 10 minutes, probably getting 3 threes a game, 3 to 4 threes a game, and this guy's shooting over 30% from beyond the arc. That's good. That's good. If he winds up, honestly, by the end of the season, averaging over, 1 to 1.5 threes a game, that to me is actually really, really good for a Chaz Lanier's first year. So
I agree. I think that he could really make that percentage higher as we see the season go on. But that comment about saying Chaz Lanier's got to be at least 38% or whatever, that's such a prime example of all of the opinions that so many people have on Chaz Lanier. Yeah. His name has been in everyone's mouth as of late, because I would say it's pretty opposing opinions on if he was a good pick for the Pistons. So definitely you were asking over Holland, Chaz Lanier is definitely going to have to prove himself, and all eyes are going to be on him this season. So, because I think that he could be a good addition to the team and really prove himself, but lots of people have lots of different opinions on his choice and how much they spent on him. So we'll really just have to see. But unfortunately, I do have to go.
But we all do, actually.
Oh, really? Okay.
Big D Energy is starting. Guys, get over to Woodward Sports. Tap in with Big D Energy. Mr. Elite himself, Neil, is in the building. You guys know Spinny and the TD booth and the whole gang. So thank you guys for rapping with us. We're going to be trying to do more and more of these lives. Definitely. Great addition for the crews, WeezyD313 said. Yes, I can't wait to get them out there on the trail. Shout out to intern Haley, intern Noah, and you know what? As it relates to Woodward Pistons, they're just part of the crew now. I just snatched them, man. They're just part of the crew. I signed them up as a GM. So shout out to them, and shout out to everybody else that's going to continue on with what we're doing here at Woodward Sports and Woodward Pistons. Hey, get over to Woodward Sports, you guys. Have a blessed day.